Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk, and thank you very, very much for joining me today. This is what I've been making today. It's inspired by a project I saw on May Made It's channel. And if I just take the lid off my little jar here and open it up, inside it is a gift card holder, and I've got a space there for you to write your greeting. It's made using the envelope punch board, and it's very, very easy to make, so stay with me and I'll show you how it all goes together. Here's what I'm using today. I'm going to use some of the new galvanised paper, which is in the autumn winter catalogue. I've got a big piece of it here, but I only need a strip that is 3 inches wide. I have some scraps of Whisper White and crumb cake. I have Blueberry Bushel ink and the Buffalo Check stamp, which again is a new one in the autumn winter catalogue. And from the annual catalogue, I'm using Treat Time. 2 dynamic embossing folders, corrugated and subtle. And I'm using my layering oval framelets, and I also used my stitched shapes framelets because I like them, but you could get away with just the ovals if you wanted to. And last but not least, the envelope punch board. I'm going to start by scoring my galvanised paper at the 6-inch mark for the centre, and then I'm going to come in 1 1/4 inches. So that's 7 1/4, and I'm going to go back to 4 3/4. Okay, so that's my scoring done. So I'm going to put my board out of the way to crease my fold. So first of all, I'm going to do that one, and I'm just going to make sure that it all lines up nice and straight, because paper can stretch. And although we're calling this paper, actually it feels more like a light card. And I was trying to say, is there a right side or a wrong side to this? Actually, they're both equally shiny. So now I'm going to fold that one that way, and that one that way. So what I've got is that shape, like an M, or. So I'm going to bring in my soft mat to use as my envelope punch board, because I'm going to try and minimise the effects of pressing down on my rather flexible table. So I'm going to bring in my my paper, and I'm going to line it up with the O and the N on my punch board. You see that? Okay, and punch. Flip it over. Same again, line up with the O and the N on the punch board, and flip it over. And do the same thing on the other side. Line up with the O and the N. And one more time. Got caught under the leg of the tripod there. The O and the N. Okay, so I've got that shape, which to me looks like a milk churn. And you know, might even leave it. I don't know. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, flip my punch board around, and I'm going to round off my corners. I'm rounding off the right corner. Okay. Didn't want to go through there for a minute. I thought I am going to have to do a change of design direction here, but it went through in the end. Okay. Okay, that takes a little bit of effort, but it does go through. So I end up nice and square. Okay, and now we have that shape. So this is what I've got so far. Now I'm going to fold it on the centre line, and I'm going to bring the card. So this is what I've got so far. I'm going to fold my galvanised paper on the centrepiece, and I'm going to bring this into the punch at, I'm just going to line it up right with the edge of the big grey button and press, being firm because it is quite a substantial weight of paper. And same again, line it up with the edge of the button and push. So now I have that shape, and now I could leave it like that, alright, and just snip through there if I wanted to, and that would hold my gift card quite nicely. But to kind of try and make it a little bit less obvious what I've been using, I'm just going to cut across there. And I'm going to trim that down a bit until I've got that. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead off camera and I'm going to cut that away with a craft knife, because I can't quite get my scissors into that curve and it's bothering me. Okay, so that's done, and I'm much happier with that shape now. And I've got my liquid adhesive, which I have decanted into a fine nozzle bottle, and I'm just going to run a bead of adhesive around the edge there, and I'm using my very fine tip instead of the usual my usual dispenser, because I want to make sure that I got a very little amount of adhesive there. So I'm just going to bring those two parts together, wipe away the excess, and it will dry clear, so I'm not really worried about that. And now I am just going to set that on one side for the adhesive to dry properly. I've die cut out the largest of the oval framelets in crumb cake, and I'm going to run it through my Big Shot in the corrugated embossing folder. So I'm just lining that up inside the folder, and I'm going to use my standard platform. So if you've got the kind that's got the tabs, you want it with all the tabs open, alright? Then my embossing folder goes down, and then one cutting plate, because this is a dynamic embossing folder, and if you put two cutting plates, either it won't go through the machine at all, or if you force it through, you will break your machine and you will be unhappy. So don't do that. So if you're putting it through and you've got any resistance, check that you haven't got either the thin die adapter, or you've left another clear plate on there, because it should go through reasonably easily. So I'm going to go and emboss that, and I'll be back. This is my stamped piece of card after I've cut my my oval out of it, and I'm going to trim this because I'm going to use this to be the lid of my jar. But I want the checks going diagonally, not square, because I think it's going to be more interesting that way. So I've got my metal ruler and my craft knife, and I've just lined the ruler up on the pattern corner to corner, and I'm just cutting that piece away. So there we go. And I've got a little bit of a divot in there, so because I just nicked the top of the oval, so I don't want that. So I'm just going to straighten that up. Right. So now I'm going to cut a piece. Let me see. So now I'm going to measure in 3/4 of an inch from one side, and I'm working on the back, so it doesn't matter if I mark it. And I'm going to cut that piece out. So I'm going to line my paper up so that it is square, and align my ruler along the edge there. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Measure twice, cut once, as they say. I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch in from this side as well. So I'm working on the back of my card, and I'm going to measure, I've measured in 3/4 of an inch from the edge there, and I'm going to measure in 3/4 of an inch from the edge here with my Tim Holtz ruler. I'm just going to line those up so that I've got a nice straight edge to cut along. Bring in my craft knife, and I'm going to work it that way so that I'm cutting on the waste side, not on the side that I want to keep. Okay. So now I have a strip of card, kind of like that, and I'll probably cut another 3/4 of an inch piece off the piece that I've got left, and that should give me plenty of card to finish off my gift card holder. This is a piece of Whisper White Classic Weave ribbon, and I've got my oval that I've stamped and punched out, and I'm going to take this punch, which is the I'm just trying to think what sort of size it is. It's 3/16 of an inch, I think, hole punch, and I'm just going to punch out a hole along that side there, and I'm going to punch another one right up next to it with about 1/8 of an inch in between. Okay, so now I've got something that looks like a gingham egg with 2 eyes. Alright, so I'm going to feed my Whisper White ribbon through those 2 holes. Alright, I'm just going to straighten it out, and I'm going to kind of pull it until it's pretty much even. Alright, so now I'm going to take one end of the ribbon, and I'm going to poke it back through the opposite hole, and then I'm going to do the same with the other end. So now both of my ends of Whisper White ribbon are at the back of the oval. Right, so now I'm going to take a loop of one of those pieces of Whisper White, and I'm going to push it back through the hole that it didn't come out of in the first place. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that my ends are all nice and neat. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other tail of ribbon. And I'm going to pull it out. Now this is where I'm going to adjust the size of the bow. I'm just going to play around with my bits of ribbon until I'm happy that I've got nice even little bunny ears on either side. Okay, now I can leave it like that and just stick the ends down at the back, but I am going to bring the tails through one more time. So I'm just going to push my little bunny ears over to one side, and you wouldn't think there would be room, but trust me, there is. You probably have to make a bigger hole if you were using something like a burlap ribbon. But this stuff, it's fine. And one last time. Tweezers are a big help to you here. Now all I have to do is to arrange things a little bit. And then when I'm happy, I'll put a little bit of tape on the back of that to hold it down, and that will be my bow done and done. So I used Happy Birthday from the Treat Time stamps and Blueberry Bushel ink, and I stamped it onto a scrap of Whisper White, and I cut that out with one of my stitched ovals. And of course I could have used the ordinary oval framelets if I didn't happen to have the stitched ones, but I do, so I thought, why on earth not now? Okay, so I'm just going to stick that down onto my my stamped paper, and let me see, let's have some dimensionals, shall we? Why on earth not? Since I have my tweezers handy, I'm going to pop a few dimensionals onto the back of my oval. Now I've already got a bit of dimension there because that's where my ribbon bow is, and as you can see I've just stuck some, that's just ordinary tear and tape over the back of it, just to kind of hold it in place. And this is just going to give it a little bit of a lift. Go. And I'm just going to line that up with my corrugated crumb cake. I keep wanting to sing Corrugated Aluminium to the tune of the Hallelujah chorus. Please don't ask why. Okay, so here's the front of, so here is, here's the gift card holder, and I'm just going to run some lines of liquid adhesive, and I'm going to be relatively generous with this because this is a very slick surface, and I'm putting a corrugated piece of card, so not all of that card is going to be in contact with that surface, and I am going to rub away those bits. I glued a little piece of the shorter strip to the longer piece so that I had enough to go all the way round, and I've just kind of fitted it around the jar like that. Alright, now it won't match up, or it didn't for me match up completely at the back, but that's okay, that's not a problem, because it's going to be around the back and nobody is going really to worry. No one's going to stop a galloping horse over that one, are they? Okay, so I'm just going to kind of shape it nicely with my fingers so that it fits on the top and it holds the gift card holder closed, but it's easy enough to remove. I came back from die cutting an oval to fit on the inside of the card so that you could write a sentiment on it, because this is very slick, and you're probably going to need something like a Sharpie to write on there. And then when I came back, Mysti has decided to come and wash her feet at you. So I'm just going to carry on regardless. I've popped the gift card into its little holder on the inside there, and I just need to close that up, and then I can just slide the lid onto the top and make sure I get both halves of the jar, and there it is. So what do you think, Mist? Do you think they like it? And there it is. There is the finished gift card holder. So what do you think of it, Mysti? I don't think she's impressed. But I hope you like it, and that you'll come back and join me again sometime soon. But for now, thank you very, very much for joining me, and I will see you again soon, and maybe Mysti will as well. Bye bye. Adhesive, and I'm making